Well, hello everybody. Welcome to we need better afternoon music. Like that's good at like 1 a.m, but like afternoon, I feel like it needs to be a little peppy. But this is the Missing Lynx post-game podcast live stream, I guess emergency pod now. I'm Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage. Mitch Hansen here from Canis Hoopas Windsor, hitting the hardwood everywhere. How's it going, man? I don't know if Mitch can hear me.
I was just on mute. I didn't realize that. I'm doing well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me. Good to see you. Good to be here. I'm doing well, but thank you.
He's not running over turtles or walking his dog today. This is Mitchell in the office.
I am sitting down in my chair, so we're good to go this time. As long as I keep my mic off mute, then we're good.
I mean, you know, we have to keep it interesting. Everything has to be kept interesting.
That's true.
And then we also have KingaBee, TikTok influencer. I don't know what we call TikTok media members. KingaBee, what do we call you?
I think content creator is fine. I'm not, unless I'm trying to influence you to watch more Lynx basketball. Other than that, I'm not trying to influence anybody to do anything.
And you must be on spring break because normally you're like molding the minds of children right now, right?
Well, technically we're not on spring break, but today is a day off from school because of
Good Friday.
Before Good Friday, there it is.
Oh yeah, Jesus, that's
actually.
I am a born Catholic, so this is not good for wherever I'm at. Like, woof. Yeah, Jesus, that is a day today, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyways, let's get off of that topic and talk some WNBA. Hard transition. First, I just gotta ask. I mean, what did you guys think of just the presentation of this? I mean, I thought this was maybe the most lackluster ESPN produced draft ever. I mean, Mitch, I'll start with you. Just any hot takes, because
when they started announcing the picks, they went obviously number 1, then number 2. I thought that's what they're going to do the whole time. They were just going to alternate it. I thought maybe they're going to take a break after the first 2 picks when they started, talking to the panel or the crew that was on the broadcast. But then they just flashed up the rest of the players like it's the end of the third round of the draft, and that like, oh, by the way, here's the rest. I'm like, well, that would have been, I don't know. It was very. I don't want to sound mean, but this is going to sound mean. It was very half-assed. I thought it was just, it was kind of an afterthought, and that's unfortunate because it could have been done a lot better, I thought, but whatever. At least we have something to talk about and something that has actually happened. So that's at least something.
McKinney says it was so lame. Nivens, I think, hit the nail on the head. It was somehow both boring and overwhelming. Yeah. Like, I was still working, so I'm just watching it on my phone, and I like went to go tweet about Bridget being taken, and then it's like, well, here's everyone Toronto drafted. Like, oh, okay, never mind. Guess I'm not doing that. KingaBee, how was your experience?
So I don't have ESPN, but today, because I was gonna come here and talk to you guys about this, I have a Fubo subscription that I got specifically to watch the expansion draft. And much like you two, I was like, oh, first pick, yes, let's go. And they said we're going to alternate. So I was ready. I picked whoever Toronto picked because I thought that there's going to be a little bit more dramatics and more like theater to it, but I guess not. And I was just walking around Mia, like being pumped for this expansion draft. And it was over. So I have a free Fubo subscription now for literally 5 minutes of expansion draft coverage.
I am like running out of email addresses to get Peacock subscriptions for the 3 Wolves games that play on Peacock. Like, feel that it's so obnoxious. We were talking about this before we went on air, and just because it's fresh in my mind, Marina Maybury got drafted to Toronto. Her ex Nalissa Smith still plays on Connecticut, and Nalissa is now playing with her other ex-girlfriend's girlfriend. Well, her current girlfriend got shipped halfway across the continent. Rough Nalissa Smith day, I would say. What do you any burning takes on Nalissa Smith's personal life?
That is an interesting dynamic. It's unfortunate, I guess. I don't know. There's no end. There's no I guess no end of drama. There's no shortage of drama in the WNBA, which makes it entertaining. That's why we love it.
I'm just excited that the WNBA has just as much like reality TV aspects to it as the NBA does, and that makes it a whole rounded experience.
Yeah, it does.
McKinney says, let Kinga speak to this because I don't have not sure I have the latest. Do I need to start scrolling on Twitter to find out all of this juicy gossip? Did they break up? Like, what's happening? No, go Kinga.
Nalissa and Dejanay broke up, and Dejanay is dating Jackie Young. That's the drama.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yes. So whenever like Dejanay and Nalissa broke up right after the finals, things started rumbling that maybe something was happening with Jackie, and just last week both of them posted a picture of the same city skyline, I think in Miami. So, and they kind of soft launched at one of the March Madness games.
It is wild, like how much of like a soap opera the WNBA is. Like, it's just, I don't know. I enjoy it. It's chaos all the time.
And it's so much different than the NBA, right? Because the NBA was not like, no, you're playing with your boyfriend, or if something happens, like, or just how Dejanay and Nalissa Smith got to Dallas is because they were together, like, we're picking up this person, so we're taking their partner as well, and then they broke up, and that doesn't happen in the NBA.
No. Also, like, shout out Cheryl for not signing couples. I feel like that would go bad most of the time. Just not great. I propose we talk about the outgoing Lynx players, just because I feel like that's only fitting before we get into off-season stuff. I mean, any strong feelings on talking about Masha or Bridget first?
I think we should save Bridget for second. I think that'll be a little bit of a longer one, but let's start with Masha.
Yeah, I mean, Masha goes to Toronto. I'll say, being at all the practices, all the things last year, she was just a delightful person that I really enjoyed talking to. Like, way more personality than I think you'd expect from a 6'2" Russian gal that like thrives on hustle plays. Like, she's talked about how like on her Russian team, she's like the class clown and dances. Really was upset that she didn't go to the Minnesota State Fair, which I'm now personally starting a vendetta about, because like now she might not ever be able to, and that's just rough. But like on the court, I thought she was solid last year. I mean, Mitch, I'll let you add whatever you want, but I mean, it kind of sucks that they find this last year kind of diamond in the rough, and then it's just over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she especially with how she ended the year and just kind of the high note that she ended the year, just even the last stretch of the regular season into the postseason, just kind of the role that she ended up carving out for herself. I would have obviously loved to see her back. I'm a little surprised that I'm not surprised that she was picked up, but I'm surprised that she was one of the players selected just with, I thought she was going to be back with Minnesota. I didn't even, she was kind of a little bit lower on my list of players I thought were going to end up getting selected. But, was Toronto, they're getting a heck of a player. She's 27 years old yet. I mean, she's still young, has a lot left to give. She is a player that with getting extended time, she could probably, take her game up another notch. And you could argue that for a lot of the players that were selected, but she's going to get the opportunity now, which is great. Good for her. And yeah, she'll do well as far as fitting into that team and just, kind of being one of the initial building blocks to go off of and just to see what she can do. I think this is going to be a good, just to let her play and see what she's capable of. And she's earned that. She deserves that. And, as bummed as I am to see her leave Minnesota, it's good to see her getting a chance like this to prove what she can do.
Selfishly, I'm a little upset that I'm not going to be able to say thank you, Sparks, immediately after mentioning Masha every time, because she got cut by the Sparks, kind of bounces around the, if she's going to play over in Europe, if she's going to play in the W, Lynx scoop her up, and then she's just this great asset. I mean, Kinga, what was your Masha experience from the fan side last season? Because I know you were locked into the Lynx last year too.
Yes, I was going with a friend, and the first thing that after Bridget gets drafted, the first thing that he texted me, he's like, "Masha's gone." It was a great experience watching her play, and kudos to the Lynx because both first picks were Lynx players, because Toronto picked Masha first in the second round, and then Portland picked Bridget the first round. So she was really great. It was a great player to watch on the court, and her physicality and all the rebounds, and definitely that needed size that's kind of missing a little bit from the starting lineup on the Lynx. Mm-hmm. So it's a bummer, but she's also kind of like a dark. I just like Mitch was convinced that she was going to be back on the Lynx this season. I didn't think that they were going, but probably they saw the same thing that Cheryl saw when they scooped her up.
She also had like a really good game against New York. Sandy Brondello is the coach up in Toronto now. Like, I do wonder if there's just like we got to fill our roster up. Let's just take the Russian gal that cooked us at the end of the regular season. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's more of like a Minnesota thing where we just idolize players that beat us, or Wolves or Lynx killers. But I'm excited for her. I think she's going to have a heck of an opportunity to start. Like, not going to pretend that I'm the biggest Toronto tempo diving into their roster an hour and a half after the draft, but like, I think Masha is going to get a ton of opportunities. Also, the other fun story I'll say is she taught Ola Kosu to drive last year. And like, man, they're just breaking up like all of the feel good vibes of this team, which, like, come on, let a guy have his stories at least still. Like, who am I going to talk to about like how good of a driver Ola is?
It is tough to, I mean, you look at the post group for Minnesota, and, with Dorka likely coming back, or probably, I would say she's almost for sure coming back now. The Lynx had to make a decision somewhere. I mean, whether it's, maybe it's, letting Masha go unprotected, which is what happened here in the expansion draft. Maybe it's, protecting her. You want her back. Maybe you let Jess Shepard go. Maybe you figure out what to do with Dorka if you want to move in a different direction with her. Either way, it would be a tough decision with that. But I mean, Minnesota is still in a okay spot where, they have players that can fill those spots yet. Now we'll see what they do in the draft and what they kind of prioritize that way. Maybe they add another big to that group, but it's tough to kind of break up that crew. But at the same time, it eventually had to get to a point where you have to make a decision with at least one of them.
And technically, Masha could still come back because she's still a free agent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
which, sure. What a twist that would be if she's like, no, I want to go to that state fair. Gosh darn it. I was promised.
Andrew has been talking to me about this state fair. I need to see a birth of a calf.
We posted the video up on my X of just like a goodbye Masha tribute, and like the heartbreak she had finding out Natisha Heidemann got to walk a cow and she didn't. Just comes through the video. Like, they better have state fairs up in Canada. Larry adds, we need a list of how many careers the Lynx have rehabbed through the power of love and friendship and Cheryl. Like, honestly, that's we can kind of say Courtney Williams, Alana Smith, K-Mac arguably has a second life of her career because of Cheryl. Pretty much everybody that's come through on the bench. Like, it is like a weird superpower that Minnesota teams have, where, I mean, the Gophers women's basketball team was kind of driven by power of love and friendship, and the Wolves also have this weird friendship vibe. Like, it's a Minnesota thing. It's fun. I enjoy it. Maybe the more like hurtful loss though, like for Lynx fans, Bridget Carleton goes first overall to Portland. I'll be honest, I was pretty shocked that she went to Portland and not Toronto. I think it, like, obviously Sylvia Fowles is up in Portland. They have good intel on BC, but
yeah.
I mean, Mitch, what was your kind of first reaction when you see BC go number 1 to Portland and not Toronto?
I was surprised too. I too thought she would be, she would end up in Portland. When listening to the Portland Fire GM talk after the draft, it was clear that they wanted her, and the only way to do so was to pick her number 1. Maybe backing up a step too. It's interesting to me that they had the coin flip going into it, and whoever decided who was going to pick first in the actual draft, or ahead of the other, I should say, not number 1, but ahead of the other. Then the inverse of that happened with the expansion draft. So Toronto, is picking higher than Portland in the actual draft. So it happened vice versa, where Portland then ended up getting the first pick in the expansion draft. And that to me is interesting, because Toronto had a choice on what was going to happen. And maybe they just didn't prioritize BC the way that Portland did. It's weird. I thought I assumed that she was going to Toronto, but I'm not. I would say I'm definitely not surprised that she was selected in general. I think that was kind of a foregone conclusion leading up to the expansion, that it might be time for the two sides to part ways, or at least let Bridget go get another opportunity somewhere else. And she'll do great. I mean, she's the kind of player, even when she's in Minnesota, that could do a little bit of everything. Now she'll get a little bit more on her shoulders. We'll see what she's able to do with that when it comes to production on the court, rather than just being that glue player like she was in Minnesota, with now having the expanded role. But on the other side, it allows Minnesota a little bit of flexibility and opportunity to, maybe it's moving in Dejanay Carrington to the starting lineup if they can re-sign her, or maybe it's, adding a player in free agency or via the draft, or both, that they can kind of fill in that spot. So they definitely have options now. And it also, of course, frees up some money that they can make some moves. But it's tough to see her go. I mean, it's one of those feel-good stories. BC's a fan favorite. It's tough because she's a great person too, and it's just hard to see people like that go. But I'm happy for her in getting this opportunity, because she deserves it, and this has been kind of it's her time to make this move and to get this expanded role.
I mean, first, I do want to just say Abby brought up that she's surprised Tiffany Mitchell didn't have her career revived by the power of love and friendship. I also was surprised that Tiffany Mitchell's career wasn't revived by the power of love and friendship. Just wanted to also acknowledge that, I was kind of there too, of like, what happened there? Odyssey Sims also didn't have a career revival from power of love and friendship. Took Indiana for both of them. Anyways, that is a sidebar. Now we're back on track. BC to me, and I know I took heat from Lynx fans last year for being kind of hard on BC, because her shooting was not very good last season. And if she's not hitting shots, it's really hard to justify, having her play 30 to 35 minutes. I mean, what I'll say is her defense is always there. Hitting shots or not, she plays great defense. She had a really big role on this team of getting them organized. Cheryl a couple times talked about BC would go and grab Courtney after huddles and be like, here's what we're running. Don't forget it. I think that stuff matters. That being said, BC is not a fifth option. She just isn't. She should be on a team where she can be the second or third best player and kind of show some of the stuff that she's done overseas the last couple seasons, have the ball more. And if she came back to the Lynx, she'd just be the fifth best player on the starting 5 again. And it would just be a rehash of last year, where when she's hitting shots, it's awesome. And when she's not, you got knuckleheads like me complaining about it, which I'm happy for her. I think she's going to do well out there. I think if anything, we'll all kind of figure out what her ceiling is, because I certainly think it's better than the fifth starter. King, I'll throw it over to you though. What are your thoughts on it?
I think, sometimes going into a new system is what players need, because I was in the same boat as you are last season, where there were so many games where she had 0 points, and she did do a lot on defense, but that's hard on a team that could be bogged down on offense. So when there was when the other players had a hard time scoring, and then Bridget is not scoring at all, then that just pulled down the team even more, and the way we were experiencing her and the way we thought about her production on the team. So it's going to be excited to see how she's going to do in a different system, because that can be, we see that all the time, even in the NBA, guys go into a different system with a different setup and they flourish. So I hope that that's going to happen. She seemed like a lovely person and great personality, and maybe this was just time for her to go and do something else.
Yeah, again, it certainly makes life easier for the Lynx. I think if you're trying to get Dejanay back and you're also courting BC to come back, that's a tough sell to try and get one of them without letting go of the other. And I think or AZ, I think this opens up a little more clarity on all right, we have minutes. AZ will be, if she's here, she'll be kind of the wing off the bench, maybe a little undersized, but be fun at least. BC is interesting, an off the court thing, because I never really had a ton of interactions with her other than she is a very professional, serious, dedicated to her craft person. If I had to bet that she's going to succeed, I would bet on BC, because she is just that type of person. I think she's just a survivor, and I think she's going to be great. And I think if she gets 20 shots a game in Portland, there's going to be a lot of games where people are looking at a Portland box score and being what the heck happened? Why did the Lynx let her walk? The one fun story I have about BC is last season, before Kent Youngblood retired, he had to ask BC if she's ever watched Trailer Park Boys, and that was one of the funniest interactions I've ever seen.
Oh, God.
Kent Youngblood,
not all Canadian,
Star Tribune, kind of known as curmudgeon-y, but he does have a Cadbury cream heart thing going on.
He does.
Going up to Bridget and just being so have you ever watched Trailer Park Boys? And she's like, no. And he's like, yeah, they just smoke a bunch of weed. And then she's like, oh.
Not all
hearing funny things I've ever witnessed in my life. Shout out to Kent and BC.
Goodness, Kent.
That was before I started recording every press conference, but man, it made me start.
Shout out Kent.
Yeah, shout out Kent. We lost a legend. Abby brings up a good question to kind of pivot us over, but any clue how free agent or when free agency will happen? Let's get into that after ad read here, though, because Mitch is here and I got to make sure it's sponsored. So flip out on us. So ads and then free agency. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Lynx podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com.
Company man.
And shout out to Nate Pence for attacking the mainstream media, saying that ESPN needed to do a better job with this draft. So much so that Malika Andrews sent him a thanks for your feedback message. So Nate Pence doing the Lord's work for us little guys who just yell into microphones.
So one of the funny things, since we're going to start talking about free agency, the funniest thing in the whole ESPN coverage is not Malika, but the other person, I can't remember her name, was just skirting around free agency and not wanting to bring it up. She just kept saying like, oh, the draft is in 10 days. And I'm like, nobody's going to bring up free agency until Malika's like, oh, there's no free agency dates because the CBA hasn't actually been signed. And I was just like, oh, W.
It is my favorite thing to cover. Like Gophers women, awesome. Loved going to tournament games. Wolves, like awesome. Really enjoy talking to Jaden. Great guy. The W is just pure chaos at all times. And I live for this. Like this is, as someone with like severe ADHD, this is like my Adderall. Like it just calms everything down. But yeah, that's the most recent reporting as of like an hour ago is the reason no one knows when free agency starts is because the CBA technically hasn't been signed by everyone. I don't understand how that works. I feel like a DocuSign would work just fine, but no clue when it starts. I have been planning my life around it starting April 6th. That's kind of what I've heard rumblings of, but it could be any time next week. But like, I mean, it's the WNBA, right? I would assume hopefully we get free agency before the draft, but Abby, just to kind of answer your question before we get into it, like I am assuming that everyone in the league is tampering right now, and the second free agency opens, 90% of the contracts are going to be signed, and the league's just going to turn a blind eye to this season. KingaBee, what are your thoughts though?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I know that like you it's not really tampering to like talk to your own players. Maybe, I don't know. But like Kayla McBride was at the Lynx facilities yesterday. So I'm guessing that she is back. And I don't like if it doesn't start on Monday, right? So technically they're going to have like 5 days to do everything. And you haven't started to talk to anybody around the league in the last, since the CBA was settled. That is just preposterous, because if you really want to get someone on your team, there should be like a couple of meetings that you take, right? Or a couple of teams that you talk to. How are you going to do that? Because it's 10 days from now that the rookie draft is. How are you going to have multiple negotiation meetings with teams? So I think everybody just did that. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, we're gonna have a lot of players like we've seen with Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu had talked about this. Aja Wilson talked about this today. You have a lot of players that are saying, I'm coming back. It's just a matter of at what price point. And I think the Lynx have a good understanding of that. I bet they know half the roster that is going to be coming back, or they kind of have that finalized. It's just a matter of when they can actually make it final or official. But yeah, it's to your guys' point. They probably know, the Lynx and the other WNBA teams know who, 10 of their players are going to be at this point. And it's just, we'll see when it actually opens up, when they can actually sign, but we'll probably find out about 12 hours before it starts, like we do with everything else. So
I'm guessing meetings have happened.
Yeah. I mean, they have to, because like if you're going to do like traditional free agency where it's like qualifying offers and then like the legal tampering period and then go into like the actual negotiations, like that's like a 2-week process. Like they can't do a 2-week process at this point. Like it's too late. You have to go. Abby, I am also imagining the one GM that didn't want to tamper and it's like doesn't want to be a narc, so he's just kind of like sitting there while all of their players are gone. I think that would be cinema, and I hope it did. I hope it does happen. Like Dallas comes to the table on Monday and is like, everyone was tampering, and his entire team's gone.
Or Chicago.
That would be music.
Yeah.
Or Chicago.
I mean, they did trade picks to protect.
Chicago's just.
I understand. Chicago doesn't have a lot of players that a fantasy or an expansion team would want, but in theory, the Lynx, if they would have traded a couple second-round picks to not lose BC and Masha, I think that would have been cool. Anyways, I mean, I think what we're getting into though is like there are players I think you can pretty much put in pen that are coming back. Like Fee, she's rehabbing at Mayo Clinic Square. She's in Minnesota. Be real weird for someone to be rehabbing in Minneapolis if they're going to sign to New York or something. K-Mac, like you said, Kinga, she's literally working out at their facility. Like, be weird if she wasn't coming back. Oddly enough, like Court, I've had pretty much in pen for most of the off season, but they're doing like a river raft thing in Georgia this weekend, or I don't know. I can't keep up with all the Stud Bud live streams. I'm sorry. I just can't. But like, it's been oddly
their best Stud Bud life.
Yeah, I'm much too. I like napping and not getting drunk on rivers. That's the two things I enjoy in life.
Hey, to each their own.
But like out of the other starters, like Court and Lan, I don't know, Mitch, I'll throw it to you first. Like, any strong feelings? Do you feel like they'll be back? Do you feel like maybe they're going to, bide their time? I know people are looking into Instagram accounts this time of year to see who's getting followed and not. Any insight?
Yeah. I would say if I had to predict, it will be the 4 starters outside of BC. So that being Fee, K-Mac, Lan, Courtney. I think Natisha and Courtney are a package deal regardless. I think that they'll sign for whatever as long as they can stay together. So I think that those 5 will be back. Now that Masha's gone, I think I could see Jess Shepard returning. I know that Cheryl is a huge Jess Shepard fan, so that's something that I think they're really going to try to do, depending on the price point. And what she can get offer wise, in free agency. Then you look at, Dorco will be coming back. Kosu will be coming back. I think they're going to try to do everything they can to get Dejanay back and then maybe slide her into the starting rotation.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a absolutely great fit. Now, if they can do that, we'll see. We'll see how free agency plays out. But I think for the most part, that would be kind of how, the main rotation looks. And then you look at the draft. I do think that they will add a player that, well, unless it's Alafam, they'll have a player that could contribute right away with that number 2 pick. But, they have a lot of options, and that's not even talking about free agency. They could still, maybe they don't want to re-sign Dejanay Carrington or Jess Shepard, and they want to use that money and go get a big free agent. They could certainly do that. And who knows, Cheryl has everything on the table. She's going to shoot for the moon and see what happens. So I wouldn't hold anything past her or past them in making a move if the opportunity presented itself. And the beauty of it is 90% of the WNBA is free agents right now. So they have a lot of options. Let's say that. But if I had to guess, that's kind of my thought on how things are going to shake up. I don't think this team's going to look really that different, with the exception of BC and Masha now being gone. They have the main pieces here, and I think that they're going to re-sign most of them.
Catching up on Todd quick before I throw it to you to KingaBee, or not catching up on Todd, catching up on chat. Todd says, that's a real sentence. Fee is in Phoenix for Team USA. You are right. She is in Phoenix for Team USA. She had been in the Minneapolis area, but now she's scootering around down there. I kind of I'm with you that she probably sticks around for the Final Four and then wanders back up here. McKinney asks, Studbuds doing a simulcast? Yes, Studbuds are doing a simulcast for the Final Four, which is just, again, chaos. It's wild. And again, this is me looking into things too much, but in that marketing, they're both in Lynx jerseys. So like, again, it'd just be weird if they're not back and they're still marketing and Lynx stuff so much.
I had just 1 minute of panic with the Studbuds because there was a video of Natisha Heidemann not complaining, but like lamenting how it would be like not playing with her best friend. And she kept going on and on and on of how sad she would be. And I'm like, oh my God, she knows something. Like Cheryl told her that she's either not protected or they're letting her go. And I had a whole week of just spiraling about the fact that I didn't know something. And I was like, wait.
I do agree with you, Mitch, though. Like, I do think starting 4 back minus BC. I think T is back. Like, I mean, the other thing I'll just add quickly is like the cap is going to jump again next year. The $7 million number that they picked for this season, just kind of an arbitrary number. Next season, it's going to go off of like a ridiculous amount of TV revenue. Like, I know there's been guesstimates that like the cap might be like 10 million next year. It could be higher than that. So like for a Natisha Heidemann, does it make sense to just do a 1-year deal, play under Cheryl Reeve, cook off the bench again, and then cash out next year? Like, that's kind of what I do. If I'm Dejanay, that's kind of what I do. If I'm Jess, that's what I do. Like, you know that you're going to get minutes and look good on this team. Like, why not take advantage of it? But Kinga, what are your thoughts on like who's returning this year?
Knowing like as much as I know about Cheryl Reeve, I think she has had like a flow chart of like who's doing what done in like the beginning of January. She's like, free agency's happening at the end of January. I have this down. So I think she has had like a whole flow chart. I also think that Fee, K-Mac, Lan, Courtney are going to be back. Jess in a TikTok live was saying that she's going to go wherever people want her to be. So I guess if the Lynx are giving her a good offer, she would return to Minnesota. And then I think Andrew, you had mentioned this, that like you haven't gotten a good idea of like what Dejanay wants. I think, being on a competitive team is important for a lot of players, and coming from Dallas and having interest from the Lynx, I would return because I mean, it's going to be a competitive team, even with Fee missing time here. But I would think that she would resign, and she's friends with Courtney and Natisha Heidemann. So if they are on the team, she would probably return. But I think the starting 5 minus BC, I think that's a lock, and T is kind of a package deal with Court.
Which then you look at this team, you have starting 5 of Court, K-Mac, Dejanay, Lan, and Fee. Bench, you'd have T. I'm under the assumption they're going to go with AZ. I mean, unless you guys feel super strongly, but like, if Awa doesn't go 1, I think that's going to be the fastest phone call in history for Cheryl to call that one in. Like, you get a 19-year-old athletic like monster that can shoot threes. That's rumored to be 6'5" now. Like, yeah, just phone that one in. But like, assuming she goes to Dallas, AZ probably comes here at number 2. So bench is Natisha, AZ, Jess, and Dorka. Like, that's a
pretty good bench.
That's a damn good 9 players, right, Mitch?
Yeah. And I wouldn't, discount or, I wouldn't, look past free agency either. Minnesota could, I'm not reporting that they will, but, maybe they go after a point guard. I saw somebody in the chat bring up the Dejanay Jackie Young dynamic. You never know. I mean, that is something that, Minnesota's going to look at it. I mean, they're gonna try everything they possibly can to improve this team, regardless of how they can. You know, and that could be something where, let's say hypothetically, a player like Jackie Young or some point guard slides into this starting rotation. You could always put Courtney Williams back at the off-ball position, which is where she played her entire career before 2 years ago. So that is a possibility too, if they want to go young, or, you know, smaller, and if they want to, you know, go that route. There's a bunch of different routes that they could actually go with this. And I do, when it comes to the draft though, I do agree that I think Awafam is going to go number 1, and I think AZ is going to go number 2. I don't think Minnesota has an interest in Lauren Betts, just because I think there's a lot more to Lauren Betts, and I think there's going to have to be maybe a little bit more work that needs to be done there. And with knowing Minnesota's style of play too, and the kind of fast-paced 5-out style of play, to match, you know, that they changed this whole offense to match Fee, or to surround Fee. AZ Fudd, I think, fits much better. So I would personally go that route, not to go on a draft rant, but yeah, I mean, there's that the bench that you mentioned, that's a pretty damn good bench, and that's a very deep team, and they can mix and match that rotation with basically anybody in the league too, which is a very valuable thing to have.
McKinney, appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy the Stud Buds Twitch stream. I will never take it personally when someone leaves this to go watch the Stud Buds. I do want to, Elise brings up Olivia Miles. I do want to talk about that a little bit, but to your point, Mitch, like, they have so much flexibility because even at the post spot, like, Fee has proven that she's athletic enough, can move enough. I mean, she's a 50, 40, 90 shooter. Like, she can play small forward if they decide to really zag. And, you know, I think Lauren Betts is a little bit of a stretch as like a zag, because I think then you're going back to like a Sylvia Fowles as a team. But like, they get like a big they like, I don't think they're going to hesitate to throw Lan at the power forward, move Fee to a wing, and then bring in a Jonquel Jones if that's
exactly what I was going to. That was my idea. If they wouldn't go like on the Jackie Young point guard direction, like getting someone like JJ would make a lot of sense to add more size and kind of a bigger player there.
Which also has the Court connection. Court's like the best friend. Like, there's just, the Lynx have kind of done this really remarkable job of putting themselves in a spot where like they can do anything. I think, you know, unless they like really piss somebody off with like a low ball offer, which I don't really foresee Cheryl doing, it's going to be insane. And even if they just return the same core and you're adding Dorka and AZ in place of BC and Masha, like, this is a team last year that like analytically and statistically was maybe one of the top 3 regular season teams in the history of the WNBA. And they're going to get better just, you know, by happenstance, essentially, with this number 2 overall pick. I mean, I don't think it's
Chicago.
What's that?
Shout out to Chicago.
Yeah,
I've been saying it for months. Cheryl Reeves should have shown up to that draft lottery wearing an Angel Reese jersey, because like, man, like she's getting the last laugh on this one. And then what happens if the Lynx just trade for Angel Reese or something, and then she gets everything.
We'll trade him number 2 for Angel Reese.
I mean, listen, you have a front court of Angel, Fee, and Lan with Court and K-Mac just running off ball screens.
That's what I'm saying.
Not a bad idea. Kinga, I don't know how locked into the college game you are. Any thoughts on like Olivia, like AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles?
Besides the W and the NBA, that's the amount of basketball that my brain can take in. So I defer to the both of you of, you know, I mean, I know all the hype about both Awafam and AZ Fudd, but after that, my college basketball knowledge falls off a steep cliff. So
I pay attention to the men's college basketball for 1 week every year, and it is immediately after the NBA draft when I have to figure out who they drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And college, I pay attention to the Gophers because I'm technically employed to, and whoever they are playing that week. And then I do try and at least like pay attention to like who the top people are, because there's just not 78 people covering the Lynx like the Wolves have, so many people covering them. Like, I don't know. Olivia Miles seems fun. Good defense, like good point guard. I think she'll have a good career, but it's just like, I think like you were saying, Mitch, with Betts, there's just more that needs to be developed. Whereas like Fudd, you can just be like your second unit, do what K-Mac does, play good defense. Let's move on with our lives. Mm-hmm. Anything to add to that though, Mitch?
I do think that, and this is going to sound like a rip on Lauren Betts, but I do think there's more baggage to her than what meets the eye. I think she's a great player. I think she's a great talent. I just think personality-wise, I don't know how well of a fit it will be. And knowing the kind of the mindset of a UConn player, that being AZ Fudd, and just that those characteristics in the tradition that gets instilled with them, and just the mindset that Gino Auriemma does extremely well with all of his players, I think that carries a lot of weight. And that is something that Cheryl's shown that she likes to do is drafting UConn players. Everybody likes drafting UConn players. Most of the time, they're pretty damn good.
Cheryl does have the record for most Huskies drafted, though.
She does. But I just think if it was more of a sure thing with Lauren Betts, I'm not saying that she's going to be bad. I think she's going to be great, and I think she'll do well in the WNBA. She's humongous too, which is to her benefit. I just don't think it's a great fit. And I'll defer to Cheryl and her scouting staff and her coaching staff. If they think that she's a great fit, they know much more than I do. But I just from my seat, I just think that, AZ Fudd's a better fit. Our fam would be, if she's available, you have to take her. I think you go with one of those two, and then you see what happens. I do like Olivia Miles. I know you mentioned her a little bit ago. I do like her. I think she would be solid. I think if we were sitting at a situation where maybe one of Courtney Williams or Natisha Heidemann are leaving, or they weren't returning, we knew they weren't returning to the Lynx, maybe you go that route. Maybe you go into free agency. I don't know, but I just think that it would be a little bit too packed there if you did draft her. And I think that you could probably get a solid point guard maybe in the second round that could kind of fill the same role that you would need in Olivia Miles too. And I don't know. That's just where my head's at when it comes to the draft. And with that said, the Lynx are probably going to draft a 17-year-old prospect out of Russia or something, and I will be completely thrown off.
I mean, that's what they did last year.
Yeah, I know.
Took Ola Kosu, and I'm like, man, she has a Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
this is so helpful. I have no clue who this person is. Abby adds, looking forward to the future legend they take with the 45th. I'm not saying, but Amaya Battle, I do think she's going to be in a camp somewhere. I don't know if she gets picked, but I do think she's going to get a camp invite, and I would sign in blood behind that kid, because like she's just kind of like BC. She's just a survivor, super serious, wants to be great. I would not be surprised if and on cue, Elise says Amaya Battle at 45. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is Lynx fandom. We all buy in together. The last point I'll kind of make on Olivia Miles is just like, I think Cheryl's offense needs a veteran point guard. Like everything in her offense, even with Nafisa Collier, starts with a ball screen, starts with a point guard reading the initial actions of the defense, and then kind of goes from there. And like, I am sure Olivia Miles is good at that. I am sure like that she's going to develop into a good point guard, but like, this is from now until Fee is no longer on the Lynx. It's kind of a championship or bust type of situation. Are you really going to take time developing a point guard to play a ridiculously like scrutinized critical position in your offense. Like I know Courtney has her detractors, but like the fact that she's as a shooting guard has learned how to process how to run a Cheryl Reeve offense.
Yeah,
that is
kind of remarkable.
That is one of the funniest StudBuds videos, and it lives on the internet somewhere, where Courtney is talking about Courtney and T talk about how Cheryl taught them, or what Cheryl taught them about being a point guard, and it is one of the funniest like StudBuds clips that I've ever seen on StudBuds. Just her going through like Cheryl showing her, I can't remember like what exactly it was, but she goes through like Cheryl teaching her how to be a point guard, and she's like, I never knew that. So
it is the like that's I honestly think like that's why we don't see a lot of young point guards for the Lynx. I mean, it's just that offense is tough to run and you have to be perfect.
It is. And I think too, Cheryl learned her lesson when they had those transition years between Lindsay Whalen and the point guards they have now. You know, Crystal Dangerfield, for example, you know, I think that, you know, Cheryl's been this way with a lot of teams that she's had, is she likes the veteran players that get what needs to be done and there isn't much development. Not saying Cheryl can't develop, because she can, but I just think with Cheryl's mindset of we need to win right now, it does not, you know, it's hard when you have a young player that needs time and needs development. And that's where you see a lot of, you know, the Alyssa Peely and Diamond Miller, where they kind of fall out of the rotation and then they're not playing. Well, if you're a young player that's developing, you need to be on the court. And point guard, it's even harder to get your time on the court when you have when you're in that situation. So I do think that, I mean, especially with, like you said, the offense, it just helps so much more and speeds things up so much faster when you have a vet that understands what's going on. And at the same time, you have now to be a player with you for the third year, 2 point guards actually for their third year. And I know that Courtney Williams mentioned when between year 1 and year 2, actually at the beginning of year 2, so that'd be in 2025 at the beginning of the year, she talked about how much of a difference that has made being there another year in that offense. She talked about, you know, playing with Lindsay Whalen, or not playing with Lindsay Whalen, having Lindsay Whalen there as a coach to help her out. And it just makes such a big difference when you have a couple of years. And that's the tough thing with a point guard, is like I said, you just got to give them time. And the Lynx, I don't think, are in a spot where they can give a young player as much time as they need.
Like if you're the Mercury and you have Alyssa Thomas, like draft a point guard, because that point guard's not going to have the same role. Mm-hmm. But like I'm honestly, one of the things I respect about Courtney the most is like how well she has figured out to do something she's never been able to do in her 30s and like apply that at a level where Cheryl Reeve is like satisfied. Because I can't even imagine, like I struggle to learn how to do like new hobbies in my 30s. Like I couldn't imagine just being like, oh, this is a new position at my day job that I'm going to learn from scratch with like one of the most, like, I think it's fair to say Cheryl's a demanding coach. Mm-hmm. I just shout out to Court. Like that's kind of why I have a lot of stake or a lot of thought that she's going to be back, just because like, why not? Yeah. You've kind of found a perfect fit. Kinga, it looks like you want to say something now.
Yeah, and for like, you know, for a coach that is as like strict as Cheryl, for someone like Courtney to be able to rise to that level where Cheryl feels confident in her abilities and being out there, I think that us as fans can be as frustrated as we want to be with her turnovers and kind of the silly mistakes that she has. And I may have been put in timeout on the Twitch stream because I brought up turnovers, but It was after she had a very bad turnover game, and it was right after she said how they had to restart practice because of turnovers. And when they restarted practice, the first thing that happens is that she had a turnover, and I pointed that out, and I was put in timeout. But it just shows.
I mean, she did have a game where she had like what? 9 turnovers, 8 turnovers.
It was that game.
Like that's hard to do. So
yeah, it was that game the day before they went to practice, and they had to restart. Cheryl had them restart practice because she's like, "Go to the huddle, figure out what happened here. We'll restart it." And the first play, Courtney has a turnover, and I pointed that out after the game, and I was put in timeout. But,
I mean, vibes would just not be the same if Court isn't on this team. Like,
it's just like,
person.
we can complain as much as we want, but like she has the thing that Cheryl is looking for.
Yeah.
And we can complain as much as we want about her turnovers, but at the end of the day, only Cheryl and she knows what's happening in practice, and she has the thing that Cheryl needs.
Mm-hmm.
I also, just like on a side, need more people from like Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs in my life. So like if Courtney left, I would have like a 3 or 4 month gap without anyone from like Atlanta in my life. And they're just too fun. Maybe I just need to go down there and like make some friends and just transport them back. But we're at the point where I'm talking about transporting Atlanteans. That's probably it. Probably a good time to wrap it up here. Mitch, give you the floor first. Anything you want to shout out? Where can people find you? What are you working on? How's life?
You can find me at Canis Hoopus and Winsider throughout the year. You can follow my ramblings on social media. We do have a big exciting announcement on Monday, April 6th at Hitting the Hardwood. So be on the lookout for that. I'm extremely excited to announce that to everybody. It's been something in the works for a little while here. So, more to come on that, but stay tuned to our socials on April 6th for that announcement. And we're ready to hit the ground running. Let's do this thing.
We're so back. KingaBee, floor is yours.
We are definitely so back. I am on TikTok mostly. People can find me at KingaBee. That's where I bring all my NBA and now Lynx hot takes.
And like follow TikTok creators. Like
yes.
I
TikTok
feel like
we need more. There's not really any people talking about the Lynx, so I think we need more Lynx voices out there. So your TikTok has that black button, and I think the hardest thing is to push that button. But after you do, I think you're gonna have a great time, and we need more voices in the Lynx fandom on TikTok.
Agreed.
Absolutely. We will be back. Well, I will be back in like 4 hours with Steve Hartman doing a Wolves post-game podcast live stream thing on this channel. But if you came in late, this will get posted up on YouTube and X as soon as we're done recording. It'll come out tomorrow anywhere you listen to your podcasts at 7 a.m. That'll be on Saturday the 4th. And I am assuming we're going to be having quite a few of these kind of not emergency podcasts, but like newsy podcasts over the next couple of weeks here, because we have no clue what's happening and it's all going to happen at once. So just keep your eye out for the Missing Lynx logo in the corner instead of the Missing Wolves ones. But appreciate y'all for being here. Kinga and Mitch, appreciate you guys for doing this on no notice, and we'll catch everyone else later.
See you guys.
Bye.